Hello and welcome. It's been called barbaric by its critics, but an established tradition by its supporters, in spite of the dangers it poses. Every year, more than 2 million women and girls undergo the practice widely known as female genital mutilation, FGM, which is also known as female genital cutting or female circumcision. Most cases are carried out openly in Africa, but it's also conducted in secrecy in parts of the Middle East and even among immigrant communities in Europe. Well, our guest today, the former supermodel Waris Dirie, went through this traumatic experience herself when she was just 5 years old, living in Somalia. She now devotes herself to campaigning against the practice. Recently, the French President, Nicolas Sarkozy, presented her with one of the country's highest awards, the Legion of Honor, for her tireless work. Dirie's autobiographical book in 1998, Desert Flower, described her personal experiences and became a bestseller in Europe. She's continued to write about the controversial topic of FGM in her subsequent books. Well, how much progress has she made against this surprisingly prevalent practice? We'll find out, and I should warn you that this is a graphic subject that may disturb some viewers. Don't forget, we take your questions on this show via phone and mobile text, and the numbers are there on your screen. Waris Dirie, it's good to have you on the show.
Thank you.
Let me start by asking you, and I know it's a tough story, but one you have told a number of times. Take us back through that time when you, at the age of 5, had to go through what was a very traumatic experience. What were you told was going to be happening to you? How were you prepared for it?
Well, you're never really prepared for it, as it happened as you're so young. I remember that I been told before it happened that it's going to happen one day, and I should. That's something that every girl must have to go through, and there was nothing else to really. You just knew it was going to happen. It's just a matter of time and when. And in my case, I was around 5. Very early in the morning, dark, early in the morning, my mother and 2 ladies took me to distance, somewhere in the bushes, and really, what I call it, mutilated, and did what they thought they were doing the best job, which is a very horrific experience that I wouldn't wish for any child.
That's the irony, I think, and a lot of people don't understand this, Waris, is how it's the women in the village that often will lead this, that perpetuate this act. Why is it, why is it still thought of among the village elders, the women, and parents even, as something that's acceptable?
Why? If I knew that answer, I wouldn't be sitting here today. It's absolutely pure unknowing. I am searching myself the question, and I don't have an answer. But it's just simply something that's been going on such a chronic time and a long time, and it's just something I don't really think they even realized or thought about it, how severe and how bad and how wrong it is, what it is this practice is all about. And I, for sure, they think they're doing a good thing for the society and for the girl.
I know that's the irony, that a lot of women are held under the belief that if they don't go through this, that they are not eligible for marriage, that they're not considered desirable, that it's a bad thing not to have it done. And it makes me wonder, in that environment where it's considered accepted among so many people, how did it affect your self-esteem, especially once you got to the West, once you left Africa and started living in the West? What did it do to your self-image and your self-esteem?
Well, it's first of all, it's not something that is apparent that you can see. It's not something showing on your. It's not a scar showing on your body, and physically showing. But if anybody doesn't know the whole story of what happens, then nobody will really know. Especially the West, and in my case, nobody ever knew, and I didn't know that I was different from any woman, until I find out myself. And so I didn't really, I wasn't even thinking about it, that there was something wrong until I came to the West and I discovered the whole thing.
Now, I know that you had a tough life once you left Africa. You ran away. You were still a teenager, and you were in France. You were working as a maid. Got a job in McDonald's and were discovered, and that led you onto the path, of course, to become a supermodel. You even got a role in a James Bond movie, The Living Daylights. And I wonder that once you were established and once you were famous, was that the point where you realized you were in a position to be able to fight this practice?
No, I always knew from the day it happened, I knew something was very wrong, because I knew I wasn't ill, I wasn't sick, I was a perfect, healthy, beautiful little girl, and next thing I knew, I was, my whole world was completely upside down, and I had no idea what happened or what was for. But I really knew from that day, from the second it happened, I knew something is wrong here, and it wasn't normal, and it disturbed me deeply, and so I carried that with me until I had the opportunity and the chance and the courage to go for it.
How much progress
And
do
I
you feel?
think God had the opportunity for the world to hear me.
Right. Now, I wonder how much progress do you feel you've made in the time since you started the campaigning? How much difference have you seen, actually, how much has things changed?
Oh, a lot. Well, it has been 10 years I've been doing this, and I remember first time when I wrote the book, nobody even want to know. When I told the peers and people I used to work with, and I'm talking about the fashion industry, it was shocking to them because they couldn't believe it. That and it is that hitting, and it's that severe that and it's that ignorant to the world, and the world had no idea this brutal practice that it existed, and so it took a lot of hard work to make it awareness to the world and to the people and to make them understand, and so it took a lot of effort and hard work. But it's 28 countries of Africa that practice this. 14 of them, since I wrote my book and I've been working on this, 14 of them has passed the law. But unfortunately, to say the law alone is not enough, because if you don't follow and respect the law, then what is the law for? So a lot has been changed, but not enough, as I must say.
Well, I wonder, what is the biggest issue you're battling? What is it? Where does most of the resistance come from?
Resistance of
Is it the villages? Is it the people?
I think it's yes, of course, it's people. The people are not. I am very disappointed, if I may say so, because the world is not taking it serious, and it is very serious issue. And I am disappointed with politicians and religious leaders and community that do practice this. And everything is hitting, everybody is just hush to the side, and the world is not taking it as serious as it is. And, I find it very hard for this.
Waris, if we look at a map of where the practice of FGM is most prevalent, or still highly prevalent, particularly in Africa, obviously we're talking about areas that are generally underdeveloped, where literacy is low and traditions are held high. How do you change the mentality of generations of people, who see nothing wrong with this? And I'll give you an example. We got an email that came in from Lagos in Nigeria. Umar Tunde Famu wrote in saying, "Female genital mutilation is circumcision. Before condemning this way of life, we should look at the advantages of being circumcised for spiritual reasons. People who campaign against circumcision are after sexual pleasure." So obviously this is someone who supports it.
I have to laugh, and it's not a laugh matter. It's a shocking. I expected it's a male. Is it a man?
Well, I would Umar. Yes, I would guess.
It's got to be a man. Okay, he's after pleasure. Well, if I may say, if I cut that man's genitalia right now, I'd like him to answer that question, or to say that letter again. Now, this is absolutely ridiculous, and it is to even say that. It has nothing to do with pleasure. It's a crime, and it's a cruel against women and young girls. And I do not know what he's talking about. And I don't think he knows what he's talking about.
It's interesting you said about governments, because we had an email that came from Pete Petros, and Pete wrote in saying, he said, "Nothing in modern medicine supports this kind of mutilation. I hope that governments put their foot down on this issue and treat women with respect." And you mentioned this issue of lack of response from governments. Has there been no effort to create some kind of legislation that might protect women, from this kind of practice? Have you seen anywhere where it might happen?
Well, I mean, I can say this. Europe is the first time Europe put this to the agenda, really. The European Union. But unfortunately, it's really Africa where the problem is, and African government and African communities and African people have to recognize and realize and abolish themselves. Yes, the West can help. Yes, but we all need to work together to do this in order, especially the African communities who practice this.
How much?
And
Yeah, I was just saying, how much do you hear of this
I'm sorry,
happening
go
among
on.
the? Yeah, sorry, I was going to ask, how much do you hear of this happening among the African community within Europe itself? How much do they try to keep the practice going?
oh, it goes. It is much. It is very much in practiced in all the communities and the immigrants that practice that come. They bring their practice with them. And so there is, it is continuous, it is really practiced all over Western world. The worst part is when they take the young girls from school on holidays, they take them to countries, and this is where they do. And so if this is where I really expected and accept, they have to do the schools and nurses and all the professional agencies. This is where they come in to keep intact and keep check on the girls.
Right. I know you were given an award by
and I
France. Yeah, you were given an award by France. You know, the French President Sarkozy actually gave you an award for all your campaigning and recognized you. So congratulations on that, I should say. And I know there's talk now that Egypt might actually ban the practice after a 12-year-old girl died there as well. In fact, you know, of course, we see pictures of you getting this award now with the French president. But I wonder, when you have a situation like in Egypt, where there were demonstrations after this young girl died, it seems there was some kind of response from the government saying that they would ban this practice. How much do you think, really, that even if it's made a law, that this practice can no longer happen, that it will translate to something where the people will act on it? Do you think if it actually becomes law, people will listen? In Egypt, Egypt is an example of it.
They have to listen to it. Well, I don't really think that they will change it this for overnight, and everybody will say yes, there is a law, and we must. I wish, and I really expect it, and they must follow the rules and the laws. And this is where punishment comes in if you do not follow that, because it is a bodily harm against a child, and it is a crime. And therefore there should be a punishment for it.
Let me put an email to you that came from Bristol in the UK. And Fatima Lakhani says, I think we should stop this madness and mutilation of women now. I'm a Muslim from Algeria. I saw that those who support it in the most in Egypt are actually the women who are both Christian and Muslim. How much did you find religion became an issue when you were trying to fight this? That it was used as, religion was used as an excuse to keep it going?
Yes, this whole myth of religion, because of it existed or it happens or it continues because of in the name of religion, it is nonsense. It has nothing to do with not any religion. It is a man-made, and it is continued because we allow it to continue, and we are doing it because of whatever the reasons. No, there's nothing to do with no religion, and it is a time.
You know,
it's a new day to understand.
Sorry,
to understand this.
Sorry, we got a bit of a delay there on the satellite. But I was going to say one thing, you know, with less than a minute to go. Just tell me, now your life is going to be made into a film. You're going to play your mother. What message do you think you'd like to come out in that film once it's made?
The truth. Really, nothing but the truth. I don't really like to talk about, if you don't mind, something. I'm a big believer on not talk about something hasn't happened yet.
All right,
so
well, listen.
I can't go through. I can't talk about much of that yet.
Well, we promise you you'll come back and talk about that once the film is made. Good luck. Waris Dirie, thank you very much for talking with us. It was a pleasure to have you on the show.
Thank you.
Thank you. And thank you for being with us. Next week, the show's coming to you from Singapore and Kuala Lumpur with an interesting look at some of the issues affecting people in that region. We want to make sure you join us for that. Now, you can find out more about the topics in store and offer feedback by going to our website at www.aljazeera.net, or, of course, you can always send an email directly to riz@aljazeera.net. Plus, you can find your programs here. You can see what you've seen here on YouTube. We'll see you next time. Street Talk is coming up next.